Hey, what's up, guys? Back with another episode of What the Real Podcast. I'm your host, Darnell.
And I'm Brittany.
So, guys, make sure you follow us on all those podcast apps out there. We're on all of them. Make sure you rate us. How many stars?
5 stars, guys. Please help us out and give us 5 stars.
Yes, definitely do that. It will help us grow. And that's what we're trying to do as a podcast. So make sure you do that. Also, you can check us out on our YouTube channel, What the Real Podcast on YouTube. Also, if you have any suggestions, comments, or questions, make sure you email us. What is our email?
Podcastwhatthereal@gmail.com. We'll take anything from you guys. We want to hear from you. We're curious types of people.
Yeah, definitely go ahead and do that. So, what are we doing today?
Today, we're going to do the movie review of Companion. It just came out this year.
Mm-hmm.
So it just came out on live stream. So we just watched it. And what were your thoughts about the movie?
Well, first of all, it literally came out last month, and then for it to go streaming that quick.
Yeah, that is true. That went a little fast.
That's really fast for it to go streaming. I when I first seen the trailer, when their first initial trailer, because we watched the second trailer, but the first trailer didn't really explain what the premise was. They just shown scenes of people dying and stuff, and they showed the part where Iris's hand is up and it's on fire.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh my god, what the hell's going on? But you watch that second trailer, you know a little bit more. But overall, I actually enjoyed this movie. I thought it was good. I thought it was definitely original. You don't get too many. It's definitely original with it, with the horror. I liked the little bit of comedy they put it in as well. I thought it was a good little small horror movie, a little bit of sci-fi to it and comedy. So I thought it was good.
Yeah, I enjoyed it overall. I thought it was well played. I thought the acting was great.
Mm-hmm.
It was different, like you said. It was a different movie than what you're used to seeing, but it kind of made me think of the movie Megan, though, where they have the doll. And it kind of goes off its rails a little bit.
Yeah.
But this time she was programmed to do it, but she turns out to be the good guy. So it does have its twist compared to that, but it is a little bit comparable to Megan, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
But it was more rich, but it had its twist, so it was different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're still robots, but it's a completely different type of scenario with it. They're doing it completely different.
Yeah, and I liked how she peeled off all the skin on her hand, and they showed her driving in the credit scenes, and she waves to the other lady. She's like, "What?"
Yeah, it was the other model of her. It was
and she's like, "What?" I thought that was so good.
Yeah, no, definitely good. Jack Quaid is in it, and obviously he always plays a good character. And it's just, crazy seeing him as a villain in this. I think when I seen the movie Heretic with Hugh Grant, it's another character, another actor who always does good stuff, and he's playing the villain. So I think this year is going to be a lot of that. You're going to see a lot of known actors who always play the good guys are going to start playing villains in movies and stuff. So I thought that was interesting. And definitely a twist, because at first you thought he was a good guy with the trailers, but you find out it was a villain. So
yeah, I know. That was a nice little twist to find out, because when she came in with the knife, and she's like, "I killed him, but it was self-defense or whatever," and stuff like that, and then she explained it to him. When he explained it to her, I was like, "Oh, this son of a gun! They just wanted all this money." Yeah,
I figured out as soon as she found the knife in her pocket. And I'm like, oh, okay, that I understand what's going on. I figured that he set it up for that, at least that much. I didn't know the whole plan, but I knew he had to, because right before they showed him with the phone, and he grabs the USB.
I was like, he's up to something fishy, because I was like, he's doing something with her programming.
Yeah, because he was like, oh no, go ahead, I'm gonna sit back, doing like that. So I was like, okay, something's up,
Yeah, you knew he was up to something no good. Yeah, I thought that was good. I definitely enjoyed this movie. I would definitely watch it again. I want to show it to my boyfriend. So even though I gave a quick summary to him of the movie, I'm going to show it to him see. I think he might like it.
Yeah, it's definitely worth a watch.
Even though he's not much of like a horror type person, but this isn't like your true horror.
Yeah.
You know,
it fits in the category, but it's not like scary horror. You
know?
Like
exactly.
Yeah. So I think it's anyone can watch this.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, let's go ahead and break it down.
Okay, do you want to start it off?
Yeah, sure. We see Iris. She's pretty much having like a monologue. She's talking about like I don't know exactly what she was saying.
I just wrote down monologue. I was like, girl, I was like monologue and girl shopping at store.
She was saying like she said having a monologue, she was talking about like experienced certain things. She experienced it twice. Like seeing the world for the first time. She said she experienced it twice. She was like, the first time is when she met Josh, and then the second time is when she killed him.
Yeah, I have that. I actually have that written down.
And then and they see her and Josh meet, and he tries to talk to her, and then he spills all the oranges and stuff like that, and it falls to the ground, and then she starts laughing at him. And then we see her wake up. She's driving. They're driving in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's pretty much like, "What were you dreaming about?" and stuff like that. And she's like, "I was dreaming about you." He's like, "Was it romantic? Anything going on in there?" She's like, "No, not that type. Just when we first met."
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
Then you see them pull up to a house, and they're like way out in the sticks, in the
middle of nowhere. Yeah, literally the middle of nowhere.
One thing I noticed, like, and I'm like, what's that? But they kind of threw it out there. But when they're walking from the car, she's holding all the bags.
I actually wrote that down. I was like, makes her carry the luggage.
Yeah. And I'm looking, he has like a little shoulder bag, and she's holding both luggages in her hand.
Yeah, but it's like at this point, because I don't know if you know she's the bot at the beginning of the movie.
You don't know. But I think they kind of screwed that up with the trailer, because the trailer we watched, they said she was like a sex bot.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have, the trailer shouldn't have pointed that out,
Yeah, because that's how I knew she was the bot.
Yeah.
But I was like, geez, I was like, he's making her carry all these bags. I was like, what an awful boyfriend.
Yeah.
I was like, I asked my boyfriend, I was like, if I was a robot, would you make me carry all the luggage, or would you just rather think people think you're mean? Or would you split the work and be Karen? He's like, I would make you carry all the work and make you carry all the luggage and tell him that I'm a robot. And I was like, but wouldn't you be embarrassed? He's like, yeah, I guess I would. So I guess I would have to help you.
I'll just grab one of them. You can grab the rest. So yeah, they walk in, and before they walk, she stops, and she's like, hey, I'm nervous. She's saying like she don't want to be embarrass him in front of her friends and all this stuff, and he was like, oh no, don't worry about that. Just I forget exactly what he said. Maybe like be your friend, be yourself, and all that. You'll be okay. And then knock on a door. And then you can tell, like, right from them just knocking on the girl, Kat. She definitely looked at her like a certain way, like, oh,
like, so, I don't like you.
Yeah.
I wish I never met you type.
Like looking at her weird and all this stuff. Then they go in, and
they're introducing all the new characters.
Yeah.
All the characters you meet. You meet Patrick, Eli, Sergey. They're all introduced in there. Sergey's the one who owns the house and stuff like that. So, and they all start drinking, and it's all awkward. And she's like, I just want to go take a shower. So she goes up to the bathroom and showers. And then she wipes off the mirror. And you just see her just standing there staring at herself for a brief moment, like something was off. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then she says, while she's staring in the mirror, she says, do whatever it takes to make him happy. She says.
I didn't write that down.
Yeah.
I must have missed that while I was writing.
And then, no. She says, smile, act happy. I'm sorry.
Oh, smile, act happy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Patrick is telling the story
Mm-hmm.
about how he met Eli and how he's a dinosaur. He was dressed up as a dinosaur and he was standing on his tail.
Right.
And he's like, "Excuse me, you're standing on my tail." And he took off his head, the dinosaur head, and he's like, "Oh, this was love at first sight.
Yeah.
We knew we were meant for each other." And then Iris is like, "No, you just know from that moment on that you love for each other. You can tell for it." And they got all awkward and silence and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was just awkward for her all the time.
Yeah. Everyone. Yeah. The cat was looking at her weird. Sergey was definitely looking at her weird. Like, yeah, it was just like you could tell something's off. Like, like what's going on here.
You could tell that there was something going on.
Yeah.
He just didn't know what the plan was yet.
Yeah.
What was going on?
Yeah. Then we see Iris and Kat. They're sitting down talking, and they're talking about Sergey and saying like, that she Kat's, a little upset because she feels like she's just like Sergey's side piece, like his accessory, and all that. And then she says that she feels replaceable.
Yes. She says that she feels like she can get replaced by Iris.
By Iris, yeah. And she says it's not like she doesn't like Iris. She just doesn't like the idea of her.
Yeah, because Iris doesn't know what she is yet.
And she said, Iris says, I wish I could be more like you, Kat. She says she feels like something inside of her is holding her back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we see them all dancing in the house. They all dancing and have
Eli puts music on and he gets Patrick up to start dancing. Mm-hmm. Then they pull up Kat. Then they pull up Iris and they're all dancing. They're enjoying themselves. They're having fun. And then Iris sees Josh talking to Kat.
Yeah.
And she doesn't like that. She gets jealous and goes to grab him. And Josh is like, "Iris, what are you doing?" And she's like, "I just want to dance with you." So they just dance together.
Yeah. And I thought, like, it's funny they show that because that could have been like the plot itself. Like she could have been like a jealous rampage or something like that and killing everyone. Yeah. At first I thought that could be it. Maybe why they're showing that part, maybe she malfunctioned and then jealous rampage started killing everybody,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Just a little thing to, twist you up thinking it's something, but it's completely different.
Yeah. Then it jumps to them having sex. And she's like, then Iris goes, "I'm so glad we did this. This is a great thing we're doing. I'm so happy to be here with you." And Josh is like, "Iris, go to sleep."
Yeah. And now we know. And it's funny now knowing like him saying, "Iris, just go to sleep." And then obviously she went to sleep.
Yeah, because she's a robot.
Yeah.
Then they wake up.
Oh, they wake up. Yeah. And they're supposed to go out to the lake and enjoy the day. And Josh is like, I'm hungover. You can just go ahead and go without me. And she's like, "Oh no, she didn't want to at first. Like, oh, just come," or she would stay with him. And he was like, "No, you can enjoy it by yourself, and I'll just hang out here." And she was like, "All right." And then we see him grab his phone, grab like a USB stick and puts it in his phone.
Yeah, so we knew that. I knew there was something up with that. Yeah. I was like, there's definitely something fishy with this flash drive. Yeah. I was like, he's got to be overdriving her or something like that, or like fixing her to do something first. I knew he was doing something. I just wasn't sure exactly what it was.
Yeah, it was definitely doing something fishy.
Yeah.
Because it's like, why would he not go? Like, he was like forcing her to go. Like, "All right, go. No, you go ahead and you go. I'm just going to hang back here." And then he just, out of nowhere, as soon as she left, he just grabbed his phone and plugged it. Plugged it in. So it's showing you something's fishy.
Exactly. And then it shows Iris by the water and she pulls out a knife.
Yeah, she just finds a knife in her pocket.
And she's like wondering, like, where'd this come from? And she puts it back in her pocket. And then Sergey comes and she feels uncomfortable, so she's gonna go back inside. But Sergey convinces her to stay.
Yeah. He's like, oh no, just stay.
You're a guest in my house,
Yeah.
so you're supposed to be respectful and stay with me. And she's like, okay, I will. And then he asks her to put sunblock on him.
Yeah.
So she puts sunblock on his shoulders, his back, and then he's like, now do my shoulders. And she's like, okay. And then he grabs her hand and he's like, oh, so this is what you're made for.
Yeah. He's like,
and stuff.
He's like, yeah, you're made for this. He was like, yeah, Kat gave me permission. She said it was all right,
Yeah.
And then they do like a cut back and forth, and then right after that we see her walking in the house all bloodied, and they go to her like, what the hell happened?
Yep.
Yeah. And then she was like, oh, he forced himself onto me. I was just defending myself. And then they go back showing what happened. And then we see Sergey trying to get with her, and she ends up grabbing a bottle and hits him in the head. He falls back on a rock. He slowly wakes up and realizes what happens. He jumps on her. He starts choking her. And then that's when she grabs that knife and stabs him right in the neck.
Yep, and he bleeds all over the place.
All over, yeah. Just so much blood all over.
And then he tells him, Josh says, Iris, go to sleep. And she goes to sleep, and it shows her waking up. And, well, not waking up. It just shows her with her eyes clouded over.
Yeah.
And then it shows she's all tied up.
Yeah.
So she can't hurt anyone else.
Yeah, they tie her up. And that's when they really acknowledged, hey, she's a robot. They tie her up, and then we see Josh talking to Eli saying, hey, it was a glitch. They're going to have Eli call the police. And he was like, all right, well, just call the police, but, do it outside.
Yeah.
So then he ends up waking her up and, talking to her, and he says that she can't lie to him. And then he ends up telling her, hey, you're a robot. And a companion robot. And he's like, oh, I don't want to say a sex bot because it sounds crazy, but you're a companion robot. And then she obviously doesn't believe it because they're not known that they're actual robot.
Well, like he likes to call it an emotional support robot that fucks.
Yeah. He says, here, let me show you that you are a robot. He ends up changing her language while she's talking, and she's saying all these different languages and stuff like that, which is crazy. She has to learn all that,
Yeah.
She was actually speaking the language. And then he's telling her like all your memories are fake, and she's like, well, no, I remember that when we first met. And he was like, yeah, it was just a pre-programmed memory that you can pick from a drop-down list.
It wasn't called it. They called it a love link.
Yeah, a love link. And he was like, oh, I'll tell you how we really met. And then they go back and they see him ordering, and she's getting delivered. And he's talking to the tech guy, and he's pretty much telling him, like, going over the rules and the agreement and all that stuff, and explaining how to set her up and all that stuff. And we see him setting her up. He has to, stand in front of her and say his name and all that. And she scans his face. And then right when it was finished scanning, she wakes up and she goes, hey, you. Oh, also the guy says she's a robot. The tech guy says she's a robot. She can't damage humans. She can't damage other animals. She can't damage other robots. And then explains to him how to reset her. You put your thumb behind her ear
for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And it resets the robot. Yeah. And then Kat walks into the room. Well, Iris starts freaking out. Kat walks into the room, and Kat's like, what are you doing? She's supposed to be shut down. And he's like, well, I want to say goodbye to her. Let's go in the other room. And he's like, you can't just tell a robot that she's going to be shut down.
Yeah.
And then Iris sees a knife, and she's bouncing her chair backwards, sliding it backwards to go for this knife. And she gets to it, and she cuts herself free. And Josh comes back in. And he goes to stop her, like, what are you doing, Iris? And Does she like punch him?
She punches him right in the neck.
Okay.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure if it was like a stab or a punch.
Yeah.
Okay.
But a little bit right before that, when they were talking, Josh and Kat, she was like, she says it's not part of the plan. He's like, oh, this is not part of the plan. What, why are you waking her up? And he was like, oh, I just wanted to say goodbye.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But that's when they talk about their plan that the plan was to kill Sergey.
Yeah.
Because he was a bad guy. Yeah, she ends up punching him in the neck. Right before he was gonna shut her down, she punches him in the neck and she runs away.
Yeah. And Eli and Patrick are outside, and Eli's on the phone, and Patrick is like, she's escaping. He's like, hold on, I'm on the phone.
Yeah.
I thought that part was funny.
Yeah.
That's the part they showed in the
trailer.
In the trailer, yeah.
They show like the comedy, like it's not like over the top comedy, but they throw in that little slight comedy into it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
Oh, so Josh ends up talking to Eli, saying that pretty much explained the plan was to kill Sergey, pretty much jailbreaking her and using her to kill Sergey. He ends up telling Eli about it, and they were like, "Oh, why you do this? Oh, Sergey, he's a bad guy and all that stuff."
Yeah, he's
and then
the mobster or whatever.
Yeah, and then they show the safe. They open the safe. There's $12 million in the safe.
Yeah. And Eli's like, we got to split it 4 ways.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we split it 3 ways. And this is when you find out Patrick is a robot.
Yeah. And I kind of do. I was like, oh, snap, he's a robot.
Yeah, when they did that, I was like, what? So you find out that, and they're talking. So he agreed to $4 million. But he's like, I get the gun. Yeah. I take the gun. So he took the gun, and they're going out.
They go out to go look for her. Eli and Patrick, they go out to look for her.
And you see Iris is playing with the phone settings of herself.
Yeah. She, they were like, oh, where's your phone? And he's like, oh, she has the phone. They were like, oh, does she know your passcode? He was like, oh, yeah. So, yeah, we see her. She's messing with the phone settings. She realized that she can change her voice, like the pitch and tone of her voice,
her eye color,
and all that. She ends up looking at the intelligence, and she was set to 40%. So she ends up turning her intelligence all the way up to 100%.
Yep.
So she was like, yeah. So they're all in the woods looking for her, and then we see her trying to figure out what to do, how to get away.
Yeah. Her first idea was to hitchhike, but she's like, people would freak out if they saw me if I was hitchhiking because I got blood all over me. Mm-hmm. Then her second idea was to walk, but she would be like, that would take too long and everyone would be there and she would get busted. And then her third idea is get to Josh's car and take that and get back to town.
Yeah.
So she's like, I would have to travel back on foot. So that's what she decides she's going to do. Mm-hmm. As she's walking through the woods, she hears Eli and Patrick, and she hides behind a tree.
Yeah. And then she listens to Eli and Patrick, and pretty much Eli was talking about, that pretty much going off their plan that they used her to kill Sergey and all that stuff. So she hears that. Also, they start talking about them loving each other.
Yes.
And, pretty much Eli was like, I don't care if you're a robot. I still love you. And then Patrick was like, hey, I knew I was Patrick saying, I knew I was a robot.
He said he was putting 2 and 2 together. Yeah. He knew for a while now that he was a robot. He's like, you would never do anything to me like this, right? Mm. And he's like, I would never do this. I love you even though you're a robot.
Yeah, and then he asked Patrick, hey, do you know how love feels? And then Patrick was like, yeah, it hurts. It burns. Like, it's like aggressive and all that stuff. Like, yeah.
Yeah. And then Iris's phone goes off. Mm-hmm. And then Eli shoots over there and Iris runs. And then Eli tackles her and they fall down this hill.
Yeah.
and they go for the gun. They both grab for the gun. He's like, I'm sorry, I have to do this. Eli's on top of her, and bam, shoots him right through the stomach.
Yeah.
Or
right.
chest or whatever it was. And went right through him, so he's dead.
And then she runs away. Like Kat and Josh rolls up. She runs away. She runs to the car, and then we see Josh goes to the car as well. She ends up slamming. He gets beat up all through the movie.
Well, he deserves it.
Yeah. She slams his fingers into the car door, and then she tries to start the car, but it's voice activated, so it only goes by his voice.
But the intelligence levels on her is like, oh, I can modify my voice.
Yeah.
So what does she do? She uses the app to change her voice to his tone and was able to start the car and drive away. And when she did that, she ran over Josh's foot.
Yeah. He's getting beat up all throughout the movie.
And then Iris is driving. Well, she's in the car and is driving. And it says the owner has reported this car stolen, so it killed the engine.
Yeah, because Josh grabs Sergei's phone.
Yeah.
And reported the car stolen, so it turns off.
So she's like freaking out, and then Josh calls her and says that we can live a happy life together. We can forget all this that happened. And she's like, I'm sorry, we just grown apart.
Yeah, because at first he was like, oh, we can just blame it on Patrick and say he did it. And she was like, no, we're... it's not you, it's me. And he's like, wait, are you breaking up with me?
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah. Josh gets to Patrick. Well, Josh tries to get Patrick to go after Iris, but Patrick is programmed for Eli. So, and he's all upset about Eli, and he's like, Pat, go after Iris. And so he took Eli's phone and was changing the intelligence levels, the aggressions levels, and stuff like that to him to go after. But he realizes he has to reset him. So he does that. He places Eli's thumb behind his ear and resets him, sets up his love link. You see the love story that I told before about the dinosaur, but this time with Josh.
Yeah, and they actually show it too, and then they
do
start
the
dancing.
little dance and stuff like that. Yeah, and then this time Patrick listens and he goes after them.
Yeah.
Then it flashes back to Iris back at the car, and she's kicking out the car window.
Yeah.
As she's doing that, a cop drives by. And what happens?
So the cop rolls up and he's like, oh crap, I'm so like, he was pissed off that he's in this. So he stops and he's about to walk to her, and then we see her back and she's on the phone, and then he goes, hello, and then she turns around and starts speaking German to him.
Yep.
And so he's asking like, what's your name? And she gives her name, and he was like, oh, where you come from? And then she said Sergey. He's like, oh, you at Sergey's house? Okay, let me bring you back. And then she was like, no. And then he was like, oh, what's going on? And then we see him look inside the car, and then he sees a knife.
Yep.
But I think it was funny because she was 100% speaking German there. And pretty much she would explain the whole thing, what she did and all that. But he just couldn't, understand German. So yeah, because she told the truth. She wasn't lying. She pretty much said exactly what happened in German. But so he sees the knife. He ends up pulling the gun on her. Ends up putting handcuffs on her. Put her on the car, and then right then you see Patrick walking up, and then freaking Patrick just. The cop pulls the gun on Patrick. Patrick grabs the gun and just beats the living hell out of this cop. He just pistol whips him with the gun like 8 times, just destroyed his face. And then we see Iris. She runs away.
Yep.
And then he grabs the phone and ends up shutting her down, and she falls over.
Yep.
Yeah. And
then it pops back at the house. Kat is leaving and is taking her half of the money. And she's like, I wasn't part of this. This has gone too far. We can't do this. Because you see Pat comes back with the 2 bodies, with Iris and the cop.
Yeah, and the police car.
And the police car. Yeah, he drives the police car. Yeah, he's driving the police car back. and he takes Iris's body out of the car, carries her in, and leaves the cop body in the trunk.
Yeah.
And they see it, and Kat freaks out, so she's taking her half of the money and goes to leave. And Josh said, "Patrick, stop her." And he stabs her.
Right in the back.
Right in the back. Yeah. And she goes to sit down on the couch and just whittles away.
Yep, slowly dies. She was pissed. She was like, can't believe this.
Even if they called an ambulance, it wouldn't have been there in time.
No. Yeah. Then we see Iris. She wakes up at the dinner table. She's sitting across from Josh. And
Patrick made dinner for Josh.
Yep.
He's like mocking her for saying she wants to live.
Yeah. And says that he was like, is your life worth more than theirs, the Eli and Kat's? And he was pretty pissed that she's judging because she was making fun of him. She was I forgot exactly what she said, but
I don't remember what she said either.
She was like pretty much saying like his life was like a piece of crap, and he was like pissed off and yelling at her, and saying that she was a rental, like he didn't even own her.
Yeah.
He said that he wanted more in his life, and he was pretty much upset with his life. He only was single, living in a bedroom apartment, and he wanted more. Yeah. And that's why he was so bitter. And also, right before Kat died, we find out that Sergey, he wasn't a bad guy.
Oh yeah, he was just a sod farmer or something like that.
And that was the whole reason why they're like, oh, it's okay for us to kill him, because they thought he was like in the cartel or whatever.
You thought he was a mobster, but I never told you what he did. You just thought he was a mobster.
Yeah. And she was like, oh, you're sad and bitter, and money won't change that, she says to him.
Yeah, and then he's like, you know everything about me. She's like, you're right, I know everything about you. I know what you like in your coffee. I know what you like with this, with that. And she's like, I know you have a below average penis. I thought that was funny.
Yeah. The sex scenes are just hilarious too in this movie. All you hear is like, and then he just stops like oh. And then we see he gets pissed, so he turns her intelligence all the way down to 0.
Yeah.
And he goes, you said you knew what pain feels, so let me show you how it feels, because you said you knew how it feels. So he ends up telling her to put her arm up, and then he takes the candle and puts it under her hand, and then it just slowly like just cooking her arm.
Yeah. And then he asks her if she feels the pain, and she says, "Yes, I do."
Yeah. He ends up talking on the phone from I forgot the name of the company.
It's like Impact or something like that.
While he's talking on the phone, her arm just catches on fire.
Yeah, and he's like, "Patrick, release the fire, contain the fire," or something like that.
So he gets off the phone, and then he tells Iris to take the gun and point it at her head, and she does it, and he goes, pull the trigger, and then at first she didn't, and he was like, Iris, pull the trigger, and then she says no, and then she ends up pulling it, and then she pulls the trigger,
and
shoots herself in the head,
and you see her go down. And then Intech comes, or Imtech or whatever it is, comes, and Josh is telling the story about what happened, and supposedly Deputy Hendricks was there the whole time. Patrick is wearing his uniform.
Yeah.
And then you find out that everything is recorded, not through the head, but in the stomach, and it looks like everything is fine. So they're like, we're just going to have to upload everything that happened because they record it. You sign it in the agreement, and you could see Josh is like freaking out a little bit, like, oh crap, I'm gonna get busted.
Yeah.
So he lets them go, and then you see Patrick waiting in the street.
Yeah. And right before that, the techs are like carrying her to the truck, and they're like, what do you think happened? He's like, oh, he modded her. He's like, he definitely modded her. He's gonna get in trouble. The one tech was saying.
Oh, yeah, it's true,
he was saying, like, a lot of people, they'll mod them, and they'll use them for target practice and do crazy stuff with them. So that's when they're backing up the truck. They're about to go, and then they see Patrick standing there. And he ends up shooting the driver, the tech who was in the driver's seats. And then the other driver, the other tech guy, he runs away.
Yeah.
And then at that time you see Iris in the van getting booted up. You see her percentage goes up. And then the guy, I forgot his name.
Teddy.
He starts running and he falls into the pit of bodies. All the other dead people. And then that's when Patrick has the gun behind his head, pulls a trigger, and there was no bullets left.
I was like, oh, thank God. But then he just picks him up and starts choking him.
Yeah.
And then Iris is rebooted, and she shows up with a taser.
Yeah.
And Patrick knocks her down and takes the taser from her.
Yeah, because she tried to tase him, but she couldn't because she got rebooted. So all that stuff, she can't do it. She can't
do
hurt
it anymore.
Other robots.
Yeah.
But she ends up talking to Patrick. Is like, hey, you don't love Josh, you love Eli, and she's explaining to what happened and how they fell in love. And then we see Patrick. He starts to see Eli in that memory.
Yeah,
of them
he slowly
dancing.
starts remembering everything.
And she was like, "Oh, she was explaining like what he said, how he felt love. Was burning with aggression." And he's like, "Oh yes, I do remember." And he loves Eli, he said, and he ends up electrocuting himself.
Yeah, I was just like, "Oh, Patrick!" I was like, "You were feeling it, man."
Yeah.
And then it shows Josh taking the money, and you hear him asking if the deed is done.
Yeah, and then before that, Iris asked Teddy for help. She's like, "Oh, I need you to help me out with the thing."
Oh yeah.
So then we see Josh taking the money and all that stuff, and asking, "Hey, you guys, is it done? Did you do everything, Patrick?"
He's like, "I need you to bring Iris's body in here so we could destroy the motherboard or whatever it is, so no one can see the video footage." And then Teddy, what's his name? Josh, you see him walking out of the room and he sees Iris. She was talking in Patrick's voice.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, Teddy from Impact gave me the power to be free.
Yeah.
I can do whatever I want now." And then she shoots and she almost shot Josh. But she didn't. And Josh freaks out. He's like, "You almost shot me."
Yeah. And he says, he starts saying like, he controls her. He's saying, "You won't kill me because you still love him. You still love him so much." He ends up walking to her, grabs the gun from her because she couldn't kill him. And he ends up grabbing her and just throwing her around.
Yeah, he throws her around a few times.
Yeah, and then he jumps on top of her and he says, "I want you to say that you're everything to him."
Yeah, and he smashes her head against the ground 3 times before she says that.
Yeah.
And then he pulls the gun out. He points it at her head and points it at her stomach.
Yeah.
And he said,
did you have anything else? Do you have anything to say? And then she goes, "Yeah, go to sleep, Josh."
Yeah. Iris says, "Go to sleep, Josh."
Yeah.
And stabs him with the wine opener.
Yeah, that automatic wine opener. We see a couple times throughout the movie they're using it. It ends up stabbing him, and then you see the cork just slowly turning in his temple, and then it pulls out all some like juice and like freaking skull and all that stuff.
Yeah.
He ends up falling to the ground
with his arm wrapped around Iris.
Yeah.
And then it jumps to her in the shower, and she's looking at her arm, her burnt arm that caught fire, and she peels away some of the skin.
Yeah.
It's on there, and she sees that her arm is robotic. And then it shows her packing away. No, then it shows her trying on some different clothes. She puts on a nice outfit. Then it shows her packing away all the money.
Yeah.
Then it shows her taking a Mustang out of the garage and driving away to her freedom. And she's just enjoying her life. And then you see her waving to the one person with her bot hands. That's her as a robot.
Yep.
They wave. And that's the end of the movie.
Yeah. Yep. She sees the model of her and, different hairstyle, but she waves out at the end and she's like, "Oh, what the hell?" you know.
Yeah, I thought that was funny.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Overall, I thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed this movie. Very small cast, but I'm sure it very probably like a low budget. They didn't spend much money on this movie, I'm sure. But really good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
What would you rate it?
I'm gonna give it a 3.5.
3.5.
3.5. Yep.
I would rate it. I'm torn between a 3 and a 3.5. I guess I'll go 3.5 too.
Okay. All right.
I'll go 3.5 too. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, definitely good. Trying to think anything else that I want to say about this movie. No, I thought it was good. I think it was shot well. I don't think it was like the direction. It was nothing like breakout. Like it didn't do anything crazy or anything like that.
No.
It was just a simple movie. No crazy shots.
It got to the point when it needed to get to the point. Like, it didn't it wasn't. I didn't think it was slow paced.
No.
I thought everything was like point on. Like, they released like each information, like every little hint to lead about what's going on at the right time. I thought they did that good.
Yeah, it's definitely no waste of space. The hour's only like an hour and 37 minutes, so it's it's not long. It's definitely to the point. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. But yeah, guys, if you've seen this movie, let us know your thoughts of it. What would you rate it? You know, definitely let us know about it.
Who's your favorite character? Yeah. What you like about it? What did you dislike about it?
This, if you like this movie, there's the other movie is called Ex Machina. It's very kind of similar to this. Now I think about it, but it's not like all the murder in it. It's more the it's hard to explain, but
okay, gotcha.
It's actually kind of similar. Now I'm thinking like, oh, this is so original. Actually, it's kind of not when I'm thinking about it now. But either way, I still enjoy this movie. But yeah, guys, yeah, catch us on the next episode. Oh, also, you have anything else you want us to review? Definitely let us know.
Email us at podcastwhatthereal@gmail.com.
Yeah, definitely let us know. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next episode.
Bye.
Peace out.